I would like to take you on a journey of a custom masterpiece for a master musician. I am privileged to get to build a signature model for Rob Ickes, master reso player. We come into our story after many tedious hours of standing and preparing for the finish. Staining and finish has begun, and here the guitar is being prepared for yet another coat of lacquer. Now that the finish is done, we have to test fit the neck to make sure it fits well to the body. Satisfied that the neck fits well, we'll now untape the fretboard and prepare to put in the inlay. The inlay will be epoxied in. It'll get sanded and then we'll oil the fretboard. Just do small detail work. Quite a few hours are put in here and still quite a bit of work is still left to do on this fretboard. Just a little more detail to the edges. And then I have to re-oil these edges to get them to match the top. Now we need to get these frets. 4 frets that Rob would like in for a special capo. This particular capo rides on the fret, and you don't have to hassle with intonation being a little bit off. It's set exactly every time. I use a wooden chisel to hammer the frets in. For each one to go in well, I have to clean out the channel. Now I'm sanding the edges of the frets to bevel them so that there's no sharp edges. This is somewhat new to my guitars. This is a 3-piece neck. You can see the lines of maple, and usually it just flows into the back and it's flame maple up at the top. But I've started putting not on all of them, just a few of them. It's a back strap on the head, the head, and what it does is you see the nut here. And what we're doing is I'm coming out past this with 2 pieces. This is maple and this is ebony. And so I'm putting this cap on it. It comes back, and now we've laminated, and I've also got an ebony top on it. So it made this like sandwich, and it comes back past the neck or the nut, and so I'm really strong from here back, or right across this joint where we notch out and everything. The thin point right here is now very strong because of this coming back so far. Because of all the rough work that was done getting the frets in, then you have to sand and polish them. I enjoy this part, being able to make a label out of wood that goes inside. It will have the model number, the number of the guitar, and the date that it was built. It's just one of those little things that takes time, but I think it's worth it. It's just a little special touch. And I have it recorded in the book. Now it's time to really start the setup. Get the cover plate aligned so that it's exactly where it's supposed to be, centered to where the cone is center on everything. Everything's lining up to the center of the guitar. Get that where I think it's right, tape it in, and prepare to screw it down. Getting all this aligned correctly is part of the setup, and though it may not, the cover may not make a huge difference in the sound, it is an aesthetic thing that definitely makes a difference to the player. And all this takes time. Okay, so here's what I'm making. This is the palm rest for the guitar. This is, I guess, a master that I go by. This is what I make it out of. Solid piece of wood that I trimmed down to be a certain size. And this is one for the Rob Ickes model. This side of the lighter side is a curly maple. Then it has a black and white purfling that goes through the middle. Then it has a piece of ebony on the other side, but it's 3 pieces of ebony glued together to make the thickness. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the purfling, the light, the dark, and then 6 pieces with the maple on. So 6 pieces glued together so that I can shape it into this. But it's the extra detail I think really makes this guitar special. Alright, so just make this little block into a palm rest. We're marking off the shape from the master palm rest to this piece. And then I'll cut it on the bandsaw to get it roughed out. And then after this I'll go into just a lot of hours of finishing to get to this point where we have a very comfortable palm rest.
Okay, getting ready to sign the first labels for the Byrl Rob Ickes signature model reso guitars. This is so cool. I'm so happy with these guitars. They rock. So here we go.
What an exciting part of this build, having Rob sign the labels that will tell what number of signature model this is, and then of course have his signature on it. This was done later because we didn't have the labels made, and so I had to put this in at a meetup. I was a wreck trying to put it in there and not get glue on the guitar. Like, emotionally a wreck. I felt like I was doing surgery. So he's got number 1, and number 1 was on that. But I had to have him have that in there. He knows it's his guitar, but it's number 1. It has to be signed, labeled, like all the rest. I'm thrilled to have been able to partner up with Rob Ickes and build a custom signature series guitar for him. And one of the reasons besides the obvious that he's just an amazing player, one of the reasons that I'm, and I didn't know this about him, but as I've gotten to know Rob, he he um, he likes to get away from just the, or it seems to get away from the traditional, I guess you'd say, and being, I guess, my niche in custom made guitars. He just sort of let me go with whatever my mind can kind of come up with. Of course, I had to show it to him, but I'm just thrilled about this guitar. The idea is to keep the sound that I was able to give to him in the other two guitars, somewhat the look, but then something unique. He wanted something unique, so we've changed the head to give it a special little shape there. We put a medallion on the back that says Rob Ickes Signature Series. It's a two-piece fretboard, flame maple and ebony, and that definitely gives it its custom feel. That's unique to Rob's guitar. Then we got a two-piece to flow with the fretboard, two-piece wooden palm rest, and then custom inlay, half ebony or a half mother of pearl in the ebony, and then ebony in the flame maple for the frets. And then right here, this is Rob's idea. But right here we have metal frets all the way down to the 4th fret for that particular capo that he likes, that will actually rest on the fret when it clamps, and it clamps on the back of the neck, on the fret, and then the little muffle thing on the top that acts like a nut or whatever it is. He prefers that capo because he didn't have to mess with getting it just aligned just so. And so then he says he never really goes down past the 4th fret with it, so Byrl put in 4 metal fret wires, so that makes it unique. And then there's just special trimmings, and have go to 510 tuners on it, real smooth tuners. Just a really beautiful guitar. I got to play with just a lot of custom stuff, and so I just thoroughly have enjoyed this guitar, getting to build this. A lot of thanks to Rob. I really appreciate his way about him, and just wanting to, let's try something new, let's get out of the box. I like that attitude. I enjoy that kind of working and building.
Whoa, awesome. Beautiful. Wow, sounds great already.
Yeah, it's neat and tuned.
It sounds huge, even just sitting in the case.
If you remember from part 1 of our story, our journey, I had said there was in choosing the wood, there was more to the story about that, and I'd have to tell it later. Part of the quote that I had said was, I chose the wood and then I forgot it. An interesting part of our story is the choice of wood. Rob had told me before I had started it not to change anything about the way I built the guitar, and to keep it, he liked the sound of the other two that he had. He wanted to keep it the same. So Byrl, don't change anything, he says. And I wholeheartedly agree. I'll leave it the same. You like it, I don't want to change it. But at the same time, I'm thinking this is a guitar that is for Rob Ickes, and we're making the signature model. It's got to be the best sounding wood of maple that I can find. Without thinking, I had already decided that I was going to choose the best sounding maple rather than the best looking maple, because I think most players would say sound trumps the looks, and then the looks, aesthetics is next. And when Rob went to playing this guitar, he kept saying it sounds bigger, it sounds better. And I had actually noticed in the setup time that it had a little more something to the sound than I remember in the other guitars, and something more pleasing. And Rob kept mentioning it, and then he would play it, and he's like, "Do you hear that?" And he'd play the other two guitars he had, and then he'd play this one. And I thought, I do hear it, but I know I didn't change anything. And as he played, I remembered my choice of wood. And I told him, "Oh, I do remember. I did change something. I tried not to, I didn't change anything about the way I built it, but I had changed the type of maple. There's at least 3 different maples that I use, and one of them is rock maple. It doesn't have the long, real sharp flame like we would call fiddleback in it, but it does have a harder and denser property to it. And so I've noticed in my guitars that is the favorable sound produced by that wood. And I used that in his guitar, and it thrilled me to find that it was, I think, a good choice for the tone, and he was very happy with it, and I've been very happy with it. So all the Rob Ickes guitars will be rock maple.